Hi everyone. Doesn't it suck when you want to go out for a ride, or you're already out on a ride, and then you see this nail or a screw in your tire? Well, that's fine. If you have the right tools on hand, you can fix this anywhere at any time. So that's what I'm going to show you today. First of all, you're going to need some tools that should be in your toolbox, or if possible you should have them on the bike at all times. First thing is this repair kit. It has all the necessary things in it, well, almost all the necessary things in it, to repair a tire in the field, to repair the damage and put pressure back in your tire so you can, at the very least, ride it home. The second thing you're going to need, well, it's not necessarily something you're going to need, but you're going to want to have this around, is a tire pressure gauge, so you can be sure you have the right amount of pressure in your tire. The third thing you might want to purchase is a little compressor here. Now, this isn't exactly necessary because this repair kit does have CO2 canisters that you can use in a pinch to put pressure in the tire again. But this is more durable, of course. You can use this. You can also use this at home to just put pressure back in your tires and put them on the correct pressure and whatnot. And the last thing, which I found is a very good tool to have around, is one of these. It's a Leatherman. Because while your toolkit may have some basic tools for your bike, it doesn't have a pair of pliers to pull out a nail or whatever that's embedded in your tire. If you don't have these, you may have all the other tools, but you're not going to get this out. Now, in this case, this is a screw. So, in my case, I can just reach into the toolkit that's with the bike. Let's see here, because it always has a screwdriver of some sort. Let's see here. Let's take this out. And we've got a handle here. And right here is the screwdriver attachment. So we can just slot that in here. We can just drive this out. Now, of course, if you've been riding around with this for a while, the head of the screw will have snapped off, and it'll just sit flush against the tire, and that's why you need the pliers, so you can reach in there, grab a hold of it, and pull it out. So once you have it a little bit sticking out, you can use the tire for leverage and work it out that way. Or you can grab it and spin it around like so, if it's a screw. So you could twist it out like this. Also, of course, the Leatherman comes with a screwdriver attachment in here somewhere as well. So you could use that as well if necessary. Where is this thing? It's over here. Is this it? Yeah. So there's a screwdriver in here as well that you could use if it's a screw and the head is still on, to screw it out that way. If you don't have that, if the head is gone, you're going to need pair of pliers to pull it out. Now, in my case, I'm going to just use a screwdriver to drive it out, but you want to work somewhat fast to limit the amount of air that's going to escape from the tire, so you have to put less air in again afterwards. So I'm going to get my toolkit ready here. Let's get it open. I'm just going to walk through what's in here. So, first of all, you have this tool. This is called a reamer. Once you've got the hole ready, you press it in and you twist it in and out so you can enlarge the hole. I know that sounds weird, but you want to have a hole that's clean, that has no more debris and dirt in it. And you want to have the hole large enough so you can insert one of these. This is basically like a sealant type thing that you can stuff in there, and that'll seal the tire. It'll mushroom up and seal it off completely, but you want to have the hole big enough so you can twist this in. And you can push that in with this tool. I'll show you how that works in a minute. Also, we've got this. This is like some rubber glue. This is something that you apply on the reamer as you're going in and out of it to basically, it lubricates somewhat, so it makes it easier to go in and out, and it's basically a glue, so it'll help seal the rubber, so the sealant that you put in afterwards. It'll help make it really tight. So, I've got everything on hand here. So let's take the screw out. So let's take the reamer, apply some of this rubber stuff on it. Doesn't need to be much. Seal it off so it doesn't dry out. And then just stick it in here. Now it might need some force. Obviously, the lower the pressure is inside the tire, the more it will bend, and the more difficult it is. So you want to do this a couple times until it slides in and out quite easily. So, for now, I'm going to leave this in here because this will act as a plug while we prepare the actual sealant. So you take the packet, and well, this is very sticky stuff, but it's supposed to be. And you peel one of these strips off. There we go. Fold it about, well actually first stick it through the hole here and stick it about halfway, so about this much. You may have to manipulate it a little bit so it becomes a bit thinner to push through the hole here. This is really sticky stuff. So that is about halfway through the hole. Now there's a little opening at the top here, so when we push this in, it will go in like this. We give it a quarter twist and we pull it out, and it's going to slip out through the split that's in here. So let's get ready to do this as quickly as we can. A lot of air has escaped the tire already, but that's because the tire pressure was already quite low. But it does take some real effort to get in there. It's also easier if the bike is on the ground instead of on the paddock stands, and you have a friend to hold it in place so it doesn't move. But that's going in there. I reckon that's in there far enough. So now we go give it a quarter twist and pull it out. As you can see, there's still a lot of stuff here, but the hole is sealed and there's no more air escaping. Now these toolkits, or this particular toolkit, also has a little knife in here that you could use to cut this off. Now a Leatherman has a knife in as well, so you could use that too. So let's just cut this off. Just watch your fingers. And you want to get it as tight to the tire as possible. You want to have it as flat as possible. Just make sure you don't cut your tire. Alright, that's it. The hole is plugged. There's no more air escaping, so that's a perfect repair. So now what we got to do is put some pressure back in the tire, because as you can see it is fairly flat. Alright, so let's do that. Now that we've fixed the hole here, there's one more important thing that I should mention. Because as you can see, I've now put a plug here in the center part of the tire. Now you can repair pretty much anywhere in this part of the tire, along the entire width of the running part of the tire basically. But you have to be careful once you get into this area, because a tire is strengthened by like a metal wire that along the circumference here, because you got cords that run like this, and they wrap around this metal wire, which is why it's fine to put a plug in here, because what you're basically doing is you're forcing it in between those cords. But if it's here and the offending object that's in your tire has damaged this wire here, then you need to stop riding immediately. Because if you keep riding like this with the forces that come on your tire, it could very well explode. So whatever you do, don't fix a tire that has a puncture in this area here, because that could end up being very, very dangerous. Same thing goes for the sidewall. There's certain strengthening that's going on here, and you don't want to puncture that, because this area here gives the tire a lot of strength. If you compromise that, it could explode and you could get into a very nasty accident. So whatever you do, never ever put a plug in here or in the outer edge of the tire. If this part is damaged, stop riding, have your bike towed, and get it to a shop and let them put a new tire on it, because you will have to replace it. So now we want to put pressure back in the tires. Now, if you have one of these, this is a little compressor, then that's all you're going to need. It has, obviously it's a compressor, so it can put air back in the tires, and it has a little gauge to tell you how much air is in there. Now, in this particular case, I know for this device that it's off by about 0.1, 0.2 bars. So I slightly overfill it with this thing just to make sure that it's at the correct pressure. It takes power, just 12 volts, from a normal like cigarette lighter plug like this, from a normal size plug like you could find in a car, and there's plenty of accessories that are sold to get to basically put on your bike and draw power from the battery that way. Or if you have a bike, and that's usually a BMW or a Triumph White 9, they have these small fittings that provide power, and that fits on there as well perfectly fine. So just plug that in, attach it to the tire with the little hose here, and then just run the compressor and just get it up to the correct pressure. So that's all you're going to need to do. But if you don't have that, the kit does provide these CO2 canisters. Now in this kit there are 3, and I've been told these 3 are more than you need to get a pretty much completely empty tire back up to pressure. So that's what we're going to use. And I'm going to check if it's the correct pressure with this tire gauge. A tire gauge like this costs, this is a digital one, costs maybe 15 euros or something. To attach this to the wheel, we've got this little attachment here, and this will also open the reservoir, so we have to be careful how we do this so we don't do this in the wrong order. So in this case, this is also used for a bicycle, so it's got this little thing on here that we don't need. So this particular thing, we're going to first attach it to the tire, to the little valve over here. Screw that on nice and tight and make sure that the wire sits in a direction. Okay. So then we take this canister, and as you can see, it has this little like thing on it, like a protector on it. This is not to protect the canister, but it's to protect you, because as the CO2 in here expands, this is going to get very, very cold. So when you have one of these, always use it, or use like a little rag, or even your motorcycle gloves, to grab hold of this to protect your hands. Then just take it off here, put it on the next one. So now that the little hose here is on the tire, we're going to screw this in, and we should hear it. It's punctured, and the pressure is going in. It's feeling very cold now. See, there's vapor coming off it. So this is very cold. Don't grab hold of this with your bare hands. So the tire pressure is in there now, I think. Yep, oh god, this is really cold. Now that this is in there, we're going to release the hose from the tire. Just look at that. Very, very cold indeed. Okay, so I couldn't get this protector off to get to stick it on the other canister. I'm not going to bother with that, so I'm just going to use a towel. But like I said, you could always use your motorcycle gloves. Now I also did a quick pressure test here, and before I start filling it, it was at 0.7 bar, and using one canister, it's gone up to 1.10 bar, and we need to get up to 2.9. So we'll see if these are adequate. If they're not, even if your tires is still a bit low, well, you can still ride your bike home or to a service point or a service station and get the correct pressure in there as well. So I'm just going to put in the other two canisters now, and I'm going to do a little pressure reading between each one of those to drill it in here. This is completely freezing over. Second canister. So I'm at 1.8 bar now. That is obviously a lot lower than what I would have wanted, but then again, I run these tires very low for the Gymkhana competition, and before I started, this tire was at 1.9 bar, so those three containers filled up to 0.1 bar of what it was before, so it's 0.1 lower than it was before. So if you're at the road, and you do this in a timely fashion, and you make sure that you don't lose a lot of pressure from your tires, it's going to get very near to what it's supposed to be. But even so, if it's still low, you can still ride your bike at that point, because the tire will have been fixed, there will be no more leak, and you can just drive to a service station or whatever and have it bumped up there. Of course, this is why I recommend actually to have a compressor, because with the compressor you don't have to worry about that. You can just put it at the correct pressure and continue on your merry way. Now, a few more things. Once you've put in the plug here, you can't just set off and right away. You have to let this cure for about 10-15 minutes, maybe even a little bit longer, so this can set and really seal off the hole. Obviously, the nail or screw or whatever it is you pulled out of your tire, don't throw it, on the road. Just take it with you, because you obviously don't want another biker to have this embedded in their tire as well. So think about the other bikers. Take this with you, or put it someplace safe. Don't throw it back out onto the road. Now, as for this equipment here, like I said, this tire gauge, you can get that at a motorcycle store or a supply store for about 10 or 15 euros. This entire kit here with all the things in it, so that's these tools, the rubber strips, or the sealant strips, and the canister, CO2 canisters here, this was about 20 euros. And just looked this up before I started doing this, and you can have everything in this kit replaced, all of the consumables, for about 15 euros. So I believe these canisters are 10 euros for 3. The rubber sealant is about 4 or 5 euros. And this is, I thought it was 5 or 6 euros for a strip or a kit of 5 of these strips. So I'm going to run down to the store now and replace these. But it's really not all that expensive, and it's a good thing to have around. The only really expensive bit that I would suggest you have is, well, if it's necessary, I'm not going to say, but if you don't have it, you might have a problem repairing your tire along the road. It is one of these. Now, this is a Leatherman. This was quite expensive. I think this was around about €100. You can have them for cheaper. But obviously, the most important bit for this application is that it's a good and solid pair of pliers, and you can put some real power into it, so they don't bend or break as you're trying to get the pin or the tire, the screw, the nail, or whatever. So, I think this about covers it. If you have any questions relating to this, please put them down in the comments below. If you like this video, please leave me a like. And other than that, ride safe, check your tires and check your tire pressers, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.